Right, hi everyone. This is Dauntless by PhoenixLabs. It's in its open beta right now. It's taken me a little longer to do this video than I actually wanted to do because I've been actually playing Dauntless, funnily enough. It is quite grindy, so it does keep you quite occupied. And I'm just going to go over a few little bits about the game and see and tell you a little bit about how the game is played and what you do. This game is compared to Warframe Monster Hunter kind of game, because you have different weapon classes and combos, but you also have these big behemoths which you attack and gain stuff off, and you create new armor. That's pretty much what you do. But I would say it's like those, but you have less to do and it's more repetitive. That's the only thing I have to say about this game at the moment. It is really repetitive. I don't know what they have planned for the future, but it is really repetitive at the moment. The graphics, you'll notice, are quite similar to games like Fortnite or Sea of Thieves, stuff like that. There was one more that I was gonna say, but now I cannot remember it. But it's kind of that feel. It's cartoony, not realistic, but it's nice, simplistic. It's very pleasant to look at. And at the moment, I can't see anything majorly wrong with the graphics. Though I have noticed that goats in the levels, there's just little goats running around. They get stuck. They dance left and right, like it's just really weird. And they get stuck in one another every now and then. I have noticed recently today, I haven't got an example of it, but the fire behemoth that you come up against later on in the game, I think it's the 6th behemoth you come up against overall, kind of gets all twisted up and deformed when you're attacking it. That's kind of weird. So that's the only things I can really point out. At the moment, the weapons are not really attached to your back as well, but that you see that in quite a few other games. It doesn't take away from the feel of it either. I have to say that the animations, the running is really quite comical. It looks like they've shat themselves, I'm not gonna lie. And when it comes to actual combat and fighting, you can't. When the behemoth attacks, you have a chance to dodge it. If you're in the middle of an attack animation, you cannot cancel it. At the moment, hopefully they'll introduce you, if you, for example, with the hammer, because it's quite slow, when you go to attack, you can still dodge halfway through an animation, and maybe they'll change the animation or something like that. But again, this is in beta, so we can only assume at this point. There are chain scythes in the game, which is kind of like God of War. There's a hammer, as I said. It's also a gun, so you can do like rocket, like bang jumps. That's all I can really say. Explain them. There's a normal sword, war pikes, and axes. I haven't got footage of them right now because I hadn't unlocked them at the time. I've only just unlocked the axe because the XP you earn for the weaponsmith, it kind of takes a while. I'll say, to earn XP. It doesn't go up very quickly at all, so you kind of have to grind that quite a bit. Now, the way combat works is you have to use stamina. You have light attacks, heavy attacks, and you have a special attack as well with some weapons. Stamina goes down when your weapon is out and you're running, so sprinting. Special moves, heavy attacks, and dodging as well. That's the only times your stamina goes down, and when it goes all the way down, you can't do those attacks anymore. Or you can, when it comes to special attacks, they do them for a short duration. When it comes to the hammer, you don't really have a heavy attack. It does take away stamina. It's like firing your gun. So if you press Q and then Q again, when you get to the little bar, it will reload fast. If you neglect to reload at all, so you click reload and then you don't click it again, it will take longer to reload. But if you try and hit the Q again, not in that little box in the middle, it will jam your gun, and it does cause you to stand in one spot even, and then unjam again. So just to say that was a bit of a problem when fighting some things, but it's just part of that weapon. I've noticed with the axe, the special moves requires you charging. When you do light charging and hitting it, you stay in one spot, and heavy attacks you can move when you're doing it, but I think it just requires you to sprint when you start doing the charge attack. Moving on, the behemoths themselves are these huge creatures, which you may have already guessed. Huge creatures, different kind of amalgamations of types of animals, and they gradually get harder and harder. Like the first one you come up against is really easy. Their prompts when they're attacking are really obvious, really slow, so you can dodge them really easily. I'm crap, so I just get hit by them anyway. The second one is kind of the same, it's a little different, and then you get introduced. It's actually the same behemoth as the first one, but it's slightly different. But you get introduced to phases, so they go into like an enraged state where they attack quicker, they attack quicker, their prompts become quicker, and I think they do more damage, and they do more consecutive attacks rather than just one attack at a time, pause, stop. They've also introduced a bit when they come out of the rage, they get tired, so they stand still for a little bit, so then you can do your special attacks and whack and hit and blah blah blah. You can see where I'm going. You can just do more damage then. Then the one after that is an owl, and this like an owl thing. It's like a bear owl which can fire energy bolts at you for some unknown reason. It's a game. How can you explain that? But this is when it gets more difficult. It's a little bit more difficult than the first two. It's kind of quite a bit of a jump because the prompts are quicker. They are shorter, as in duration, so you have to like dodge all the time. The attacks are quicker. The bolt of energy is really quick, and when it goes into rage, it can attacks consecutively so many times with its sweeping, which is ridiculous. And then it gradually gets harder and harder, which I found it does actually get quite challenging. But again, it's still really, really, really repetitive. I got a little bored today. I played it for a couple of hours, but then got a little bit bored. You get loot from these behemoths. So when you hit a behemoth in a certain way, you knock off a part of it. It comes off, which is quite nice, so it looks like you're actually damaging it. But also you then pick it up. It's a green orb, so it's quite easy to see, unless you're colorblind. And you get it's called Arcanite, so weapon or armor Arcanite, which is kind of like a bonding agent for like the bonding stuff for the hide that you get from the bears. And you use this to create weapons and upgrade weapons, which I talked about before. You have to have more of it as they go up, as you upgrade it, so it's kind of, you get it. The more you upgrade it, the more damage it does. Later on you'll get weapons with elemental parts introduced as well. I'll go over that in another video. If I keep playing this game, as I said, if it stays like this, I won't play it very much more because it is quite repetitive. There's also some other things in the game. As well as the weapons, you can also make armor, which all looks different. It kind of goes along the lines of what the behemoths look like, because you get the hides from them instead of it just being random amalgamations of armor, or you just drop some sort of armor at the end of the game. You have to make it yourself. There's also some other loot around, like flowers and stuff like that. At the moment, I only know you can salvage it and create and get money from them, but I don't know what they're actually used for at the moment. At the start of the game, you are able to create your character. There's a bit of character customization where you pick two like ancestors, kind of like in GTA. It works on the same way. It lets you ancestors, and you have a slider you can choose between. But that's not the main thing. You can then go in and change the face shapes and whatnot as well. There's not that much customization with hairstyles at the moment, but again, it is in beta, so you don't expect it to be a full game as of yet. In one thing you get in one quest, you get introduced to the store. Now this is, at the moment, it is a free game, so you expect there to be some sort of payment, but it's the see what's in store quest. It took me a while to actually find the button because it's all in grey and you can't really tell what's going on, but it's in. You press escape, you go into the menu, and it's in the corner. You press that, and then you get some free dye for your armor, so you can change them to different colors, and then other armor colors you have to pay for after that. It's revolutionary. Yeah, but that's just like a little introduction to this game. I like it, actually. I like playing it, but you do get bored after a while. Well, I do anyway, because it does get repetitive. My favorite weapon, kind of at the moment, is the hammer, just because it's quite fun to use, just blasting and jumping and smacking these things in the head. It's quite fun. The game, I think, looks alright. When I played it the other day, it was quite jittery when it first kind of released. But now it's kind of smoothed out a bit. I think they've done a couple of patches since then, a couple of updates, so it's now running nice and smooth. So apart from the graphical errors where the banners kind of merge into themselves, and the goats, which kind of merge together as well, kind of get stuck on nothing in the middle of the game, which isn't a big deal because it doesn't actually affect the way it plays. The banners kind of merging into them. Say if they're doing like the fire attack, like the 6th boss, you'll find out it does get a bit annoying because the fire's just kind of flying everywhere. It can be quite annoying. And all I can say is that I don't know if I'll play it much more because of the repetitiveness of it, but it is fun and it is a good game to go to if you don't know what to do. Go smack a monster about for 20 minutes, half an hour or something, go back to another game. But yeah, that's Dauntless. Let me know if you like the video, if you like the game, like the look of it, if you're going to go play it. If you want me to do more of these types of videos, these kind of small reviews, let me know and I will. I've got a couple of other games that I might do this for. And yeah, that's it. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll catch you next time.